Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Thatcher with another video on how to speak to your children about social injustice and racism. Now this is a really important topic, especially nowadays with what's going on in our current events. This is something that I, as a kindergarten teacher and even as a middle school science teacher, I always tried to teach a lesson to my students about how we can't judge people just by what they look like on the outside, that we have to take time to find out who they are on the inside, what kind of person they are, not just what they look like. It takes more time than just making a judgment by looks, but it's also very important so that we can help fight the racism that continues to exist in our country. We can't make generalizations like all people of this color do this, or all people that look like this are like that. It's very important to take every person and every situation one-on-one and really look at them for who they are or what the situation is. We don't want to make generalizations because it's dangerous and it also breeds ignorance. A good way to be a member of society is to always be respectful. And respect comes from getting to know people and also treating them the way you would like to be treated. We have a lot of racism going on in our country. It's an ongoing problem that is difficult to talk about. And a lot of times parents avoid the topic. But it's dangerous to avoid something as serious as racism because children have natural curiosity, and we really have to foster that curiosity and help to provide them with tools so that they can be helpful members of society also. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Back in 1963 actually had a quote in his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, and it was, "I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And this is important because we want to make sure that when we look at somebody, we're not looking at them for what color they are, but for who they are. And actually, children are natural at this. Here's a picture of my daughter, Ava, with one of my friend's grandsons, and they hadn't seen each other for a few months. They love each other, not because of what they look like, but because of the fun they have together, because they enjoy doing things. They like dancing and singing and playing and hugging, and they love each other for who they are and the fun they have together, not for what they look like. Children are not naturally drawn towards racism. It's something that society as a whole helps to foster. And so we have to use our good energy in the opposite direction to help make sure that we're ending racism and that children and adults are learning to look at each situation for what it is and each person for really who they are, not how they look. One thing I always do with my students is I bring in some fruit. And the fruit I bring into my class is a kiwi. Now, when you look at kiwis from the outside, they might look maybe not as appetizing as they are. For example, the first time I brought some kiwis into my kindergarten class, all of the students refused to try it just by looking at the outside. They thought it wouldn't be sweet. They thought it might be sour. When I open it and show them the inside, and they actually get a taste of it, they realize that it's quite different than what the outside looked like, and that you can't just go by what the skin looks like. You go by what it tastes like, the wonderful flavors you get, the beautiful colors that are inside, the designs, and also the texture. There's a lot of things that make a kiwi delicious, and it's not just because it's green. In fact, most students don't look at the color until we tell them to. So students won't always, or children in general, won't always be excited to try something or excited to meet someone just based on what they look like. They'll remember the things that they did together. They'll remember the fun that they had and the contributions that that person's character brought to the friendship. Those are much more important than the outward appearances. And so it's important when we're talking to children to help them see that everybody is unique, but also that everybody deserves the respect, that they can be treated as an individual and not made to be someone based on assumptions. So it's very important that we don't assume, we don't put people together into a group and say that everybody in that group is the same. We have to look at them as individuals, and we have to look at the components or the parts that make up who they are. And that might be their emotions, their kindness, the things they do for others, their abilities, their character traits, all comprise who they are, not just what they look like. So it's an important conversation to have, and I hope that this helps, and I hope that you continue to do the hard work that needs to be done to help fight social injustice and racism in our country.